Right. So, yeah, this is one of those videos in regards to, what's trending, pop culture news. And honestly, this went completely under my radar. I had no idea there was I guess you could call it the Battle of the Bonnet going on the internet for the past few days. But somebody sent me this Medea meme, which I'll put on screen right now. And to be honest, I looked at it, I'm like, wait, what's Monique trending for this time? I mean, the last time I even heard of Monique in the news was, I believe, a week or so ago. She was on Kevin Hart's podcast, and I think Kevin was apologizing for not standing up for Monique when this whole situation started. Being blackballed and this and that and yada yada yada. And just passing news. I didn't think too much of it. So when I just went to Twitter, typed in like Monique and Bonnet or Monique and airport terminal, then I went on YouTube and looked at a couple of videos. Then a friend of mine, he asked me about it this morning. He's like, hey, did you hear about Monique? I'm like, no. So after looking into it, I did see her video, pretty much talking about how black women should take pride in themselves and pretty much not be out in public places wearing, just bonnets and pajamas and whatnot, because she said she was in the airport terminal and she saw a lot, a noticeable amount of women, just walking around not looking presentable, if you will. And, the person who sent me the meme, they were like, what are your thoughts on it? So let me just say up front, I'm a man, so I honestly don't think I have a horse in this race to tell a person, or a woman, what a woman should or shouldn't wear in public, because I'm a guy. And I mean, I know the first thing that would have happened if I did say something about whether or not a woman should wear a bonnet in public is like, well, what about men, walking around with their pants sagging or wearing the do-rags, or, men wear slides too. My point exactly. So in this video, I want to give my 2 cents about what she said. And to be honest, I'll give some examples from my own personal life as a guy when, looking presentable may have been the better option. So before going further into this topic, go ahead and like the video, hit subscribe, follow me on social media. Links are in the description box as always below, and hit the bell icon and select all. That way you don't miss out whenever I post videos like this on the channel. Let me just say up front, in a sense, I don't have a problem with what she said. Again, I'm giving my opinion, and I'll state why later. I don't have a problem with what she said because, as she addressed in the video, some of y'all call me auntie. She was literally being an auntie. And I mean, that's the thing about older family members, or sometimes older people in general. They'll tell you something or give you advice when you don't want it. And at the same time, it really depends on kind of how you were raised, because I grew up with, adults who pretty much did, quote unquote, preach the value of taking pride in your appearance. And, if we're going somewhere, look halfway decent, just look halfway decent. That's pretty much it. For a number of reasons, like you never know who you're going to see. That I feel like that's the biggest thing people would say in response to this subject. But at the same time, there's also the topic of comfort. Like I feel like there's a major difference, and like I said, it depends on where you live. Like, well, next month I'll be going back home, Halifax County, with Clover, Virginia, which is a small town in the backwoods countryside or whatnot. And how Lynchburg to a lot of people is a small town. To me, it's a huge city. With I think I mentioned this in a live stream a couple of days ago about all the different stores and restaurants that Lynchburg has that my hometown doesn't, like Chick-fil-A, Target, Best Buy, Five Guys, Cookout, and the list goes on. So to me, Lynchburg really is a big city. Back in Halifax County, Walmart is the mall, just to kind of put that in perspective of how small the town is. So that's like 20 minutes away from my parents' house. Now, there's a general store, Mount Laurel, which is like 10 minutes away from the house. Then there's another store across the river. That's what we call it. It's across the bridge. That's about 15 minutes away. It's like 026. I forgot the name of the store, but it's just a general store. Like, there was a major difference between, hey, let's run up to the store. We'll just throw on like some shorts, sweatpants, or t-shirt or whatever, because you're not really going to see anybody. And if you do see somebody, guess what? They're probably wearing the same damn thing. But when you go to Walmart, it's like Walmart, you're going to put on some jeans or whatever, because, Walmart, like I said, is the mall. So there's a higher chance or percentage of you seeing a lot of people. But then I'm also going to throw another curveball in there. There's a difference between going to Walmart around 11 o'clock noon versus Walmart when they open up early in the morning. 24/7 is what it used to be. But let's say you go to Walmart early in the morning and you ain't really going to see anybody. But I think for me personally, and again, I don't really care because she was speaking to women, but I wanted to bring up this conversation as a man and how we need to be presentable as well. I think my biggest, if I were a woman who wore bonnets in public, I think for me, my biggest issue with what she said was, if I happen to see a young woman out there and she's wearing a bonnet in public, I'll go up to her, put my hand on the shoulder and just remind her, you're a queen, take pride in what you look like and stuff. I think for me, that's the thing I had the problem with, because for me personally, like I said, I know older people would tend to do that, but it's usually older people who you have a connection to, like a grandparent or, grandmother or aunt or, like some along those lines. But I would not go out of my way if, let's say I were in Monique's position, let's say I were, I'm just going to make a, black guy who's famous. Let's say if, I don't want to say Tyler Perry because of the whole Monique thing, but let's say I was Snoop Dogg. I don't know. I think that's no. You know what? Let me think of somebody. Blair Underwood, right? Because I know he was in the news recently. Apparently, he's getting a divorce after 27, 23 years. Let's say Blair Underwood says something about sagging or whatever, and then whenever he saw a black man's, sagging pants or wearing a do-rag, he went up to him like, brother, have some pride in your appearance. My thing is this. It's none of my business. Like, if I'm out, because personally, I'm not going to use airport terminal because I've never been on a plane. I've never been on a helicopter. I've never even been in the airport. So I can't really say my experience there and what it's like. All I know is from what I've heard from a bunch of friends who travel, it's not a fun experience because of the fact you got to wake up early, long lines. And then, of course, after 9/11, there are so many more checkpoints. And then, with the whole pandemic, there's new levels of how things are done. So I can't speak to that as an experience. But I just know that if I went to an airport terminal, I honestly wouldn't give a crap how I would look. Now, I'm not saying I would go in there with dingy clothes and whatnot, but I understand how people, I was looking at Twitter, said that, I wear slides, I wear slippers or whatever. Hey, whatever, as long as they don't think you have a bomb underneath your do-rag or bonnet or a gun in your sweatpants, what does it matter? I mean, I make sure I'm hygienic, I'm clean and smell good, but I'm just saying, just like in you know how many bonnets I've seen in like the DMV or whatever, or do-rags underneath a hat? It's like, you're going to a place that you don't feel like you need to be at your best. I mean, yes, in the video, she's like, well, I'm not saying you need to be all dolled up with the makeup and all, but just don't wear a bonnet in public. It's just like, again, back in my hometown with the hairdressers and whatnot, or people get their hair done at home. It's not uncommon to, like, if I went to Dollar General or, even Walmart, sometimes you'll see a black woman walk around with a bonnet. But guess what? As a kid who had to suffer by sitting in the beauty salons for hours when my mom got her hair done because I was too young to stay at home by myself. It's like there's that period where a woman's hair is like, twisted or curled or whatever, and they have to have it underneath a bonnet for a little while until they are ready to have their hair finished up. So it's like, okay, I got a couple hours or 90 minutes. Let me go around the corner, get something to eat or whatever. So it's like, okay, I mean, what do you want us to do? I mean, like, I really don't. As a guy, yes, there have been times where I wish I looked a bit more presentable, because I get it. Like, people will look at you like they won't care why you're wearing what you're wearing. They will just see what you're wearing like, oh yeah, I'm wearing sweatpants because I got a bad stain or rip in my jeans before I went to Walmart, or my shoes don't go with this shirt or something along those lines. Like, I've had that happen before. Like, one time, I had a button up shirt on and whatnot, but I had black sneakers on, and the girl first looked at my shoes instead of me, and I'm like, oh damn. Yeah, there have been times where I've known, and like, not even just clothing, but like hygienic, like, let's say, I just took a shower, especially this time of the year where taking 2 showers isn't an uncommon occurrence because it's so damn hot. And, might forget to put on some hand lotion, because I remember growing up learning that putting on lotion makes you sweat more. Yeah, and it does. But at the same time, you want to make sure, especially as a black man, your hands don't look like Casper the Friendly Ghost, or they look cracked like, like the desert. And there have been times where, I'm in the store and then I look down like, oh, damn, I didn't put on hand lotion, so I hope I don't see anybody. And that's the worst thing ever, when you're at the checkout and you're putting your stuff on the conveyor belt. And it's like, man, my hands are so damn ashy. And then you got to hand a person like your shopper's card or whatever. So presentability isn't just something that goes down to like a bonnet or a do-rag. There are so many other things that go into that. Making sure, your face is good. You ain't got no crust on your eyes or your lips are cracked. But then again, that really doesn't matter with the mouth section, because, we're wearing masks nowadays. Well, some people are. And going back to like her going up to people and telling them not to wear a bonnet in public, it's like when the pandemic, all these stores were saying that people should wear a mask. There have been plenty of times, not just now, because now it's just pretty much hit or miss. Like, people walking around no mask, some people are. Back last year around this time, like, if I saw somebody without a mask on in a store, I wasn't going out of my way to say, hey, the sign outside said you need to wear a mask. All I know is, as long as you don't cough or sneeze in my direction, we ain't got no problems. But I just don't think it's, somebody else's place to tell you what to wear, whatever, especially if you're a grown adult. Like, at that point, you should know better as to how you want to have yourself perceived by others while you're out in public. But at the same time, while I don't see a problem necessarily with what Monique said, aside from the I'll go up to you kind of thing, I think the reason she's getting flack, because I'm seeing some mixed responses. I feel like there are almost as many people vouching for what she said, as co-signing to what Monique said, as opposed to those who say mind your own business. I think it's always what they say, is not necessarily the message itself that people have a problem with. It's the person who's delivering the message, because I think maybe a month or two ago, Puff P Diddy, I don't know what his title is now, Puffy P Diddy. I know he was at some award show, and he called out, these companies and whatnot that take advantage of their artists or entertainment. And it's like, while he spoke truth, it's like, yo, you have a notorious, no pun intended, history of screwing over your artists with contracts, and also maybe you're not the right person to talk about ownership and taking care of your clients. It's almost as if when Taylor Swift was going on about the whole Big Machine Records and not being able to buy her masters for her albums from Scooter. It's like if P Diddy jumped on that train as well. It's like, yeah, she's right, we got to make sure artists have ownership. And it's like, nah, man, your contracts say otherwise. How many people who used to be on your label are broke now because you own all their stuff and you gave them shitty residuals? It's just one of those things where you got to kind of watch what you say, while even though you're telling the truth, do you have a track record of upholding that kind of truth? Now, when it comes to Monique, I think what really has people hot and bothered is the fact that she's kind of addressing the average fan. And when I say the average fan, I mean like the average everyday person who might be a Monique supporter. 'Cause I saw some interesting tweets, and I'll probably have some tweets scattered throughout the video here. It depends on how my editing mood is. But I saw an interesting one, like, a black woman was like, see, this is what happens. Black women were rocking with Monique, but now she's going to call us out like this about some bonnets. Come on now. I think for me, this kind of goes to her. It feels like she's no longer connected to her fan base. What I mean is, like, when the whole Netflix thing went down and she talked about boycotting Netflix, it's like, look at the statistics of the average person with a Netflix. Somebody who is working hard to make ends meet, and Netflix, depending on what kind of package you have, is about $10 or less, or maybe $12 if you want HD or whatever. And you want people to boycott Netflix due to gender bias and racial inequality at the core because you felt offended that you were offered $500K. And the average person that watches Netflix or is a fan of Monique, like the Parkers, Queens of Comedy, what have you, they'll probably never see 500,000 in their lifetime, at least at once. They might make 500,000 after years of work, but they'll never see that money at one time. So that was completely out of touch, where you utilized a very worthy cause such as the fight against gender and racial bias and equality. But at the same time, it's like your point was canceled out when you got a female, Amy Schumer, millions of dollars. Black men, Dave Chappelle, Chris Rock, millions of dollars for comedy specials. You felt you were robbed and you wanted people to take away Netflix from their lives because you weren't offered more than 500,000. So you move forward with, also the suck my, what if I had one, Oprah, Lee Daniels, Tyler Perry. You just went after black pillars in the entertainment business. And yes, I know as the years went on, some people have talked about how, Monique is right. Look at Oprah with the whole Michael Jackson documentary, and then her bestie Gayle King with the R. Kelly and this and that. And people have been saying that, oh yeah, over the years, Monique was right. These people's true colors are showing, yada, yada, yada. But I think for me, it's like Monique is kind of talking down to the very people who lift her up. It's kind of like Bill Cosby. How you always talk about, young black men, you need to go to school, stop being ignorant, get jobs, pull your pants up. So then when, the crap hit the fan with him, nobody was really rushing to support him because he talked down to his own people. Now, like I said, I can understand the rationale behind what she was saying, but I can also understand the backlash to what she was saying. Like I said, as a person who gets in front of the camera from time to time, like it is kind of cringy if I go back to some of my older live streams. I remember wearing like not the same gray shirt, because I think I made a point to say that I have a couple of packs of those, what do they call it, the Hanes like tagless shirts that come in like gray, black, blue, red. So it's like I might have like 4 or 5 of the same t-shirt. Like I remember some of the early live streams, I looked very exhausted. Sometimes I probably got crust on my under my eyes, and t-shirts wrinkled. Even my like gray t-shirt, which wasn't a V-neck, would look like a V-neck because it's been through the damn washer and dryer so many times. But as time went on, that I evolved how I look when I get in front of the camera, where I'm wearing different t-shirts. I got so many random shirts from like GameStop, Walmart with designs on them, and catchphrases. That way I kind of spice it up, make sure my background is as in order as possible, because of the fact I want to look somewhat presentable when I'm in front of hundreds, if not thousands of people online. But I know for a fact that, excuse me, if I'm out doing my business, going to a store, post office, whatever, I'm not going to make it my business to tell somebody what they should and shouldn't wear. I don't pay their bills. I don't buy their clothes. But again, you want to look presentable, because you never know where you're going to go. Like I know going to the subject of back at home growing up, like my mom and sister, let's say we're going into town or something, or even the worst part, let's say we go to the general store and it's like, because we need something, it's like, damn, they don't have what we need. We got to go to Dollar General, which is another 15 minutes away or something along those lines. Or maybe we got to go to Walmart, and it's like, well, damn it, I can't go because I didn't put a bra on or whatever. And it's like, I always think, well, it's like, well, dang, you always told us. It's like, you never know. It's not always about, you don't know who you're going to run into, but you never know if you need to stop at a certain place and you want to look somewhat presentable, especially when you're black. That way you don't have to deal with the stereotype crap of, oh, look at this, pants ain't hanging off, or, got a do-rag on or whatever. But, as long as you're minding your business. But again, tensions are high in certain places now. But I just feel like, truth behind what she said to an extent, but I don't know if she was necessarily the right person to deliver the message. Like, I remember the Monique show on BET. That was a pretty good talk show. I remember she had some very good guests, the cast of The Game. I know Steve Harvey was on there one time. I think Tyler Perry was on an episode. I could be wrong about that, but I just know that there was one episode in the early stretch of season 1. She came out natural hair and was like, women, y'all need to my black women, go to work tomorrow with the natural hair. Don't comb it down, no grease or whatever. Natural, have it sticking out natural. I'm like, I'm not a man, but I don't think that's a good idea, Mo. It's like, depending on, where you work, you got to have quote unquote dress code, look professional and whatnot. It's like, you can do that because you have a TV show. A person who works in a corporate office and whatnot doesn't have a TV show. So you got to look somewhat presentable to the people in your surroundings. Again, I don't want to make it sound like, all you're doing is saying look presentable so you can shuck and jive in front of the white man so the white man is comfortable because you don't look like a hoodlum or whatever. Again, it depends on how you're raised and where you live. But in any case, that's just my 2 cents on the bonnet thing. Do what you want. I actually looked at maybe 3 or 4 YouTubers who have done videos on the content. I know some women have said, and I'm talking about female YouTubers who have said, and again, I'm quoting them. Yeah, you know what? A lot of these women wearing the bonnets and whatnot in stores, they're kind of like the same women who say, well, how come nobody's approaching me? How much, I never get a man or whatever. It's like, well, yeah, because look at how you're presenting yourself when you go out in public versus those who are like, you know what? Hey, I pay my bills. If I'm wearing a bonnet, I wear a bonnet, and this and that. But hey, let's talk about it. I know about 68% of my audience is female, so I'd like to get your thoughts in the comments. Do you agree with what Monique said? Do you think that, hey, you know what, it doesn't matter. If I want to wear a bonnet, I'll wear a bonnet. And like I said at the beginning of the video, I'm a male, so I really don't have a horse in this race. And you've seen my live streams. When I cut my hair, I cut my hair. Even though I don't really wear one, I really should put on a do-rag if I want waves. But due to the pandemic and cutting my own hair, I really don't even care. But it is what it is. So thanks so much for tuning in. If there are any other relevant trending topics you want me to talk about, feel free to send them my way. This is kind of a nice, smooth kind of topic to talk about because, tomorrow is the big day when we get back on the horse. That is the haves and the have-nots. So if you want to donate to the channel, feel free to do so on PayPal or Cash App. And with that being said, I'll talk to you next time.